Some businesses don't lose in Dubai because they're failing. They lose because they're winning and they're built like they're still broke. Think about it this way. Your revenue is up, your name is growing, your inbox is full, and the moment you try to do the real growth move like raise capital, bring in partners, or sell a piece or open a new market, everything slows down. Not because your business is bad, because your structure is small. I've seen a founder hit this wall in real time. A tech founder with solid products, 7-figure business, and real traction. Wait. If you're paying more tax than you legally have to, that's not a compliance problem, that is an information problem. I am hosting a free live webinar where I break down exactly how the Dubai tax strategy works, who it actually works for, and the mistakes I see people make constantly. The link is in the description, so go. Grab your spot before it fills up. Let's get back to the video now. But every investor meeting ended with the same sentence. We like what you're building, but your company is not built for investment. That's not an insult. That's a warning. Because in Dubai, you can start fast. You can make money fast, but scaling properly, let's say scaling with other people's money, with regulators watching, with a future exit, now that's a different game. Today, we're breaking down chapter 6 of my book, Dubai Dreams and Tax-Free Schemes, which focuses on the advantages of joint stock companies and their impact on business growth and investment strategies. This chapter is called the joint stock company advantage. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 4 things. 1, the ceiling that silently kills successful companies. 2, the private joint stock company, the investable upgrade that most founders discover too late. 3, the public joint stock company, why an IPO is a governance test and not a payday. And 4, the real game, how structure equals trust with investors, banks, regulators, and tax authorities. Quick note, before we go deeper, I'm not your lawyer. And this is not legal or tax advice. This is education. Rules change. Your nationality, your business type, your specific situation, they all matter. Use this video to understand the big picture, then get proper personalized advice before you make any moves. In chapter 5, we established the foundation by discussing the advantages of free zone, mainland, offshore, and holding companies. These structures were explored in terms of their impact on tax efficiency, legal compliance, and business operations. But chapter 6 is what happens after that foundation. Because at some point, zero tax stops being the priority. And can this company raise capital cleanly becomes the headline. And that's where the joint stock company enters the conversation. And here's the truth. Every structure has a ceiling. Free zone, incredible for speed and ownership. Mainland, great for direct UAE market access. Holding companies, amazing for asset control. But if you're trying to scale with serious capital, and most founders hit the same bottleneck, their structures can't carry institutional trust. Investors don't invest in vibes, they invest in mechanics. They want shares that can be issued and transferred cleanly, governance that protects minority investors, a board structure that isn't me and my cousin, and reporting that survives due diligence. And if you can't give them that, it does not mean that they hate your idea, they just can't buy it. Let me tell you a story of a founder who hit the wall. James started with a simple UA setup, totally normal. He's not thinking about investor rights. He's thinking about clients and revenue. Year 1, he wins. Year 2, he wins bigger. Then a strategic investor shows up. Not a friend, not an angel, an actual institutional investor. And within minutes, the meeting shifts focus from discussing business growth to examining the structural aspects of the company, such as share mechanics and governance. Their questions are not how's the company growth, but their questions are what are the share mechanics? What is the board structure? Can we issue new shares? What protects us if the founder goes quiet? And what is the exit strategy? Now, James did not fail the business test. He failed the structure test. And that is the ceiling. You don't feel it until you're already there. And it costs you deals, valuation, and time. Has an investor ever said no to your business? Now, imagine this. You're growing, you have a good business, but when it is time to raise serious money, investors still say you're not ready. And that is where the real problem starts. Deals slow down, conversations go nowhere, and you lose momentum. And while you're trying to push forward, the right investors start looking somewhere else. Because most of the time, the problem is not just the idea, it is the structure behind the business. If you want to raise serious capital, you need more than sales. You need the right share structure, proper governance, and a board level discipline. Otherwise, you're not building an investable company, you're just running a lifestyle business. A private joint stock company is what you build when you're done playing small. In UAE mainland law, a private joint stock company is designed for structured ownership and investment. Its capital is divided into shares. Ownership can be transferred and managed with formal governance. And yes, the number that scares people is real. The issued capital must not be less than 5 million dirhams fully paid. Now listen carefully. That 5 million dirhams is not your setup cost, it's a filter. It filters out people who want the title of entrepreneur without the standards. And it signals to serious investors this founder is building an institution and not a side hustle. So what changes when you set up a private joint stock company? Now, this is where your company stops being you with a license and starts being a system. A real cap table that survives the due diligence, shareholder agreements that mean something, board oversight and proper governance cadence, cleaner entry for strategic money, clear exits, buyback mechanics, transfers, sale pathways. And here is the counterintuitive part. The more structure you have, the more freedom you get, because you're no longer stuck negotiating everything from scratch. And let me tell you about Nadia, the founder who upgraded and suddenly got a fast yes. Nadia runs a B2B services company with strong margins and real demand. But every funding conversation felt like pushing a boulder uphill. When she restructured into an investable format, two things happened. One, investor questions got shorter. Two, investor timelines got faster. Not because her numbers changed overnight, because the risk changed strategically. And here's the part people miss when they're scaling. As you get bigger, you don't avoid tax. You manage tax properly with records, audits, and substance, because serious investors will not fund a structure that they think is built to disappear. A quick question. Answer this in the comments. Are you building a lifestyle business or are you building an investable company? Two words, lifestyle or investable. The answer determines your next move. Now, let's go one level higher. A public joint stock company is when your company becomes publicly investable. This is the structure that can list you on the market. And the UAE is clear about what public means. 5 or more founders can form a joint stock company with some exceptions in the law. The minimum issued capital is 30 million dirhams. And that's the entry ticket. But here's the truth that changes how you see IPOs. An IPO is not where you fix your business. An IPO is where your business gets audited by the market. When you go public, you're not just raising money. You're entering a world of disclosures, audited reporting, governance code, and regular approvals. Authorities like the Securities and Commodities Authority oversee the framework. Exchanges like ADX or DFM operate under the federal umbrella. And in 2026 specifically, market commentary is pointing to a stronger IPO pipe, but also more disciplined time. Companies are positioning IPOs when the pricing window is right to avoid undervaluation and maximize returns for shareholders during the listing process. That's maturity, not weakness. The UAE also built an ecosystem that makes listing possible. Here's the key. UAE doesn't just allow IPOs, it actively supports a pipeline. Abu Dhabi's IPO fund exists to help companies prepare, work through the process, and deepen capital markets. It's not free money, it's infrastructure. So if you're thinking one day we'll go public, understand this. You don't wake up and decide to IPO. You structure for it 4 years. An IPO is not about money. It is about power and proof. A lot of people think that an IPO is just a big payday. It's not. An IPO puts your business in front of the market for everyone to judge. And if your company does not have proper structure, the market will expose that very fast. Weak governance gets noticed. Messy numbers gets noticed. Poor financial discipline gets noticed. And that is why an IPO is not just about raising money. It is about proving your business is strong enough to be trusted. The smart founders do not wait until the last minute. They build that structure early. Clean financials, proper audits, strong boards, real governance. Because by the time you want to go public, your business should already look like it belongs here. The hard truth is this. If your company is not built for scrutiny, it is not built for an IPO. And going public does not hide weakness, it exposes it. And that is why the next part matters. If Chapter 5 was about permission, Chapter 6 is about credibility. Because your next level constraints aren't the licenses. They are your audited financials, internal controls, tax compliance that matches international standards, transparency that survives regulators and investors. And as the UAE's tax system matures, the rule is simple. The bigger you are, the more institutional your compliance must look. And that is exactly why the next shift matters. Once you get big enough, Dubai stops looking at your story and starts looking at your system. A lot of founders still think Dubai means easy rules, low taxes, and no pressure. That is lazy thinking. Because when you become a bigger business, the standard changes. Your governance matters more, your reporting matters more, your tax position matters more. more. And if your structure is weak, global tax rules can catch up with you faster than you think. But here is the opportunity. The UAE is showing that it wants to reward real businesses, not paper companies. In March 2026, the Ministry of Finance launched the phase 1 of the UAE's R&D tax incentive program, including a non-refundable R&D tax credit for up to 50% on qualifying expenditure up to 5 million dirhams. That is a strong signal. The country is not just asking for better compliance, it is rewarding real innovation, real business, and real activity. So the real play is simple. Do not wait until the regulation forces you to grow up. Build institutional governance, clean tax reporting, and proper substance now. Dubai still rewards ambition, but at scale, it rewards discipline even more. Dubai is not tax-free. It is tax smart. A lot of people still move to Dubai thinking it means zero tax on everything. That's not true. And that kind of lazy thinking is exactly what gets people into trouble. Because the problem is not Dubai. The problem is people building businesses on wrong assumptions. They hear lower tax and think they do not need proper structure. They hear free zone and think they can do anything. They hear 0% and stop paying attention to compliance, audits, and revenue rules. And that is when things start going wrong. And most won't realize this on day one, but later, when the audit comes, when the bank asks questions, when the tax rules actually start applying to the way they operate. But here's the good news. Dubai still gives you a huge advantage. You can still win big here, but only if you build it properly. You need a real system, real compliance, real reporting, and real substance. Because Dubai is not a place to avoid the rules, it is a place to use the rules intelligently. And that is the difference. The people who get hurt are chasing tax-free fantasy. The people who win are building tax-smart businesses. Everything we covered here is inside my book, Dubai Dreams and Tax-Free Schemes. This chapter goes deeper into when to transition, how to prepare, what mistakes kill deals. Link is in the description. Go get your copy. And if you want help building the right structure for your specific situation, my team at Alliance Street Consultancy does exactly that. Company registration, bank account opening, corporate tax structuring, the full chain, done properly from day one. We don't sell you the cheapest license and disappear. We understand your business first, and then we build around. Book a consultation. The link is in the description. Now, here is the truth. Most people watching this will never need a joint stock company, and that's okay. But what if you do? You're building something that outlives you, something scalable, something institutional. And in the next chapter, we go deeper, because once you raise capital, the real question becomes, how do you stay in control? Subscribe, hit the bell, because we are not building businesses here. We are building structures that other people bet on.